Hey guys, this is another video from Mr. T. This one's on function notation. So we've been talking a lot of jargon about what a function is and what a relation is. Now we need to get into how you write the actual maths and your calculations. So in mathematics, there's accepted ways to refer to functions in your calculations and to write your working out. If you think at its most basic, a function is just a set of operations that you apply to something. There's a helpful way to think about it, it's in your book as well. You could also almost think of a function as a little machine that performs a set of operations on whatever you fed into that machine. So for example, this is the machine that we're talking about, and the function of this machine is to double and then add 3, whatever you put into it. So if I wrote that in an algebraic fashion, you times whatever you put in, let's say it's x, by 2, and you add 3 to it. So let's say we were using x. If you were to put in x, because it's an unknown, what comes out, we don't know. We don't know what the answer to it is, but we do know that x is doubled, and then you add 3 to it. So the result would be of putting x into the machine, whose function is to double the input, and then add 3 to it, would be 2 times by x plus 3. What if we did a more like real sort of example where you're putting in a known quantity? Let's say you put in 2 instead. If your input was 2, you put it into the machine, and the function of this machine is to double, then add 3 to it. What's going to come out, and I'll draw that down here, is double of 2, which is 4, add 3, which is 7. So you can see that the function is a set of operations that's been applied to an input, and that function is being applied by this imaginary machine here. Now obviously that's going to be too laborious for you to be trying to draw a machine all the time, so there's accepted ways of writing about functions in maths. But we're going to refer to this example above, doubling something and adding 3 over and over again to try and help you with this difficult concept. So using the example as above, let's have a think about the first point, is that the function of the machine is to double the input and add 3. So the function itself, the function mathematically, we refer to as f in lowercase. So for this function, f is to double the input and add 3. So that's the first point we need to get out of this video, is a function is doing something to inputs. Second point, usually we're interested in what happens to a variable if you put it into a function, or if you put it through a function. So the most used variable we use in algebra is x, obviously. So for this function, if x was the input, x is going to be doubled and you add 3. That's why I wrote on the side of the machine 2x plus 3 is the result of inputting x. Why is that? It's because we don't know what the result of it's going to be. We don't know what x is. All we know is the result is going to be 2 times by x and add 3 to it. So in maths, the accepted way of writing this, the accepted way of writing the result of putting something through an unknown through a function is f of x, so f with x in brackets, is equal to 2x plus 3, because that's what's happening to x. It's being doubled and then you're adding 3 to it. So that left side of that equation, f of x, stands for the value of the function for the input of x. So essentially whatever's in this brackets, f of x is the value of the function for whatever's in that brackets. Now because what's in that brackets, x, is an unknown, we don't know what it is, it's not a particular number, the value of the function is written as an equation, that is f of x, the value of the function when the variable is x, or the input is x, is equal to 2 times by that input plus 3, because the function is doubling the thing, adding 3. So if I was to write what you need to get out of this particular point of this video, is value of the function for input or variable x is equal to the variable 4x doubled, then add 3. It's left as an equation because you don't know what x is. All you know is that the result is going to be x times by 2, and then you add 3 to it. Alright, that's another tricky point out of the way. So overall, this gives us the rule, and you'll find this in your textbook. For any function, which we've established above, any function you refer to as lowercase f, the value of the function when the input is when the input x is a, for example, which is a number, it's written as f of a. So the value of any function with this particular variable is going to be f of a. So let's have a look at some examples. Given the function of squaring the input and subtracting 2 from the result, what is f of x going to be? And then what is f of negative 2 going to be? So we know that the function is to square the input and subtract 2 from the result. So the answer to 1, f of x is going to be, and x is going to be the input, is the input is going to be squared and take 2 from the result. So what is that saying? The value of the function with the input of x is going to be x squared take away 2 from whatever that is. Now, the question goes on to ask us what's the result when it's a known amount. And this is going back to this rule that we've established here. The value of the function when the input x is equal to an actual number is given by f of that number. So here we're being given the number, it's not x anymore. So f of negative 2 is going to be the result of that number being put through the function. So negative 2 being squared, take away 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, positive 4, take 2, and 4 take 2 is 2. Let's go through a bit more complicated example. Let's say it was another example here. For the function of x being 3x squared take 4x, what is f of 2? So here, in the questions that you're getting in your booklet, you're given what the function of x is. This is telling you straight up what's happening to the input if it was x straight away. So you don't need to go through that step that I've shown above of working out what the actual function is that's being applied to the input and then working out how you would write that if the input was x. So that makes your job a little easier. What is f of 2? F of 2 is going to be that function being applied to the input of 2. So I'm just going to replace these x's with 2's instead, because that's what it's asking for f of 2. So 3 times 2 squared, take 4 times by 2. Exponents first, so 3 times by 2 squared is going to be 4, take 4 times by 2, 8. 3 times by 4 is 12, take 8. 12 take 8 is going to be 4. So f of 2, when the function is to square the input and then times that by 3, then take away 4 times by whatever the input is, the f of 2 is going to be 4 in this case. So hopefully that helps you out with the idea of writing functions properly in mathematics and your calculations, and giving you an idea of handling some of those calculations. And I'll see you in the next video.